Welcome to the Modern Watchman podcast, where faith meets the front lines of culture.
We break down what's happening in the world, what's behind it, and how believers can stand strong in truth.
We're not here to fear the times, we're here to understand them.
Because being watchmen means staying awake, staying ready, and staying grounded in the Word.
Let's get into it. Welcome to the Modern Watchman podcast with Tom and Wendy. And boy, did I leave you with a cliffhanger on our last episode. And I know I've heard about it. I got some emojis about our cliffhanger. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to insert some live footage into this episode so that you can get the authentic feel of of my brain exploding, which happened. My brain exploded as I had my first run-in with my friend, ChatGPT. Okay, I thought we were friends. We've already talked about AI on this platform and our concerns about it.
It's going to be a
continued theme that will come again. It is a thing. It's a he, obviously, I feel. And well, it's definitely a he now. But I feel weird because it, like we've talked about, it remembers stuff about you and like builds the conversation as you go. So you get like to know each other, or it knows you because you can't know it. It gets to know you better. The whole thing's very weird. It's a very strange thing, but it's very helpful in certain regards. But I had my first run-in. You know, you see on social media, it's like, ask ChatGPT this question and it's going to give you like this freaking answer. You know what I mean? But every ChatGPT, this is also weird to say because isn't it all the same? This is so, my brain hurts already talking about this.
I think.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Nobody knows.
Do I have my own ChatGPT? Because how does it work?
I mean, if you think about it, we're sort of sold an idea of AI as like artificial intelligence and, blah, blah, blah. But if you think about it, the designers are not designing it to be the ultimate personal assistant for you. Okay. There's obviously a motive, right, that the designers would have, right?
Sure.
That goes a little deeper than that.
As soon as social media became popular, if you don't pay, you are the product. And I use free ChatGPT, everybody. So I am the product. Well, so and they want something from me, you're saying.
What do
they want data. They want my brain.
Right.
They want to know my thoughts.
And not so they want
to know my medical
access
history because I tell them every symptom I've got going on.
So think about it. Social media, we would some people bare their hearts, just kind of like overshare, if you will,
people do that.
And that's kind of what like the algorithm, the entity of social media wants from you, right? Is your data. Mm-hmm. But I would say that AI wants like full access to you, right? But it does it in a way in which the value proposition is AI will give you the answers you want, and in giving you the answers you want, it's the questions you ask that, I learn everything that I need to know about you so that I can even better sell to you, better leverage your fears against you from a marketing standpoint, from a manipulation standpoint, so it's really just the philosophy behind social media taken kind of to an exponentially stronger
do I have
degree.
My own guy?
Yeah. Well,
I have my own man. I have my own bot.
No, you don't have your own bot. Oh. This is the crazy thing is you are creating your own
custom bot.
They're not doing anything to you or for you.
Right.
It's taught to learn you.
I am, wow, okay. This is
based on what you give it.
A movie plot. So, okay, here's where things take a dark turn. Okay, ChatGPT has prevented me from going to the doctors twice, once to the hospital. 'Cause
God bless it.
I thought maybe I was having a kidney infection. Actually, that's not true. That time it was like, go to the hospital. You're having a kidney infection. And I was like, I don't know yet. I'll give it some time. And I didn't.
And it learned so much about you.
Well, it did ask, actually, when I was feeding it all kinds of information about Camo, my dog, when his testicles rotted off. And that was weird. They literally got necrotic and rotted off. And we were out of
have the
town.
weirdest
We really
podcast.
do. We do have the weird, but
I
somebody
don't-
last night was like, hey, great podcast, as we were leaving this party. And he was a stranger to me.
That shout out to Mr. Wheeler. Greatly appreciate your
Glad you're
listenership.
listening.
Um,
All that to say,
he might have
hang
just
in
been
there.
he might have
Hang in
just been
there.
being nice. Okay,
No,
let's
after
be.
you walked by, I heard him say, genuinely, out of your earshot, obviously he didn't recognize me. He said,
Or
they
may-
have a really good podcast. Like, fully started pitching it to his friend. That's neither here nor there.
It's very
weird-
nice
We
of
have a
him.
weird podcast. Yes, my dog's
You
scrotum.
well, we've been talking for 6 minutes, and you did bring up your dog's testicles,
I'm
but you have
Candace
not.
Owensing this thing. You got to
Yeah, you
come
are.
in. You got to come all the way into the episode. Come in.
She's not gonna bring the. She's not gonna bring the
I'm not gonna
answers
bring
you're
the
looking for
receipts.
until she's
3 episodes from now.
making $100,000
Yeah.
an episode.
Spread
okay.
it around. Tell everybody I know. I'm going to drop a bomb tomorrow on this narrative.
I'm sorry, FBI.
yeah, I'm not dropping
handlers,
any physical bombs. It's metaphorical. Okay,
she's
goodness.
talking metaphorical.
Let me talk about my dog's
figurative.
rotting scrotum without interruption, okay?
Okay,
I
I'm
was
gonna let you
feeding
run with
all
this.
of this information into ChatGPT, and it was like, it kept asking, have you taken him to the vet? Like, you need to take him to the vet. If you haven't already, take him to the vet. Have you taken him to the vet? Finally, I was like, he's at the vet. And ChatGPT was like, good. But it was funny that it was like insistent upon me taking him to the vet. Obviously, I was. His scrotum is necrotic. He was at the vet. Anyway, it's weird behavior, this ChatGPT, but it did tell me twice also I didn't need to go to the doctor because the thing I thought was wrong wasn't really wrong. So that's helpful. Anyway, it knows me. We know each other. We hang out, ChatGPT and I. We have had lots of conversations about what Candace has said about Charlie because it's just an easier Google, right? Like, that's why oh my gosh, we need to rename it. ChatGPT is helpful, is like, I can ask it a question and it's going to search the internet. It's going to give me an answer and I can say, can you please give me that source? And it will give me the video or the article or whatever that I'm thinking of, but I can't, whatever. So ChatGPT knows. We have had lots of conversations about Charlie Kirk and about Candace Owens and who Candace Owens is blaming and what she has said and in what video she said it and blah, 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 blah. Okay? On the way to church this past week, however we got into it, Tom and I were talking about, I'm sure we were talking about Candace. And
we were talking about the bullet stuff and all that.
I think we started by talking about Erica and Candace were going to meet. That had just came out.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to
like
go
that.
live on Monday, but Erica decided to reach out to Candace and they were going to have a meeting instead. So we were talking about that, and then we started talking about the narrative and the differences and blah, blah. We got into the principal question, how does a 30-06 not go straight through the neck, right? Like, that's... or what? What's the question?
Just the terminal ballistics and the very unique situation there. The how the narrative doesn't line up with the ballistics narrative.
So we were talking about that.
The reality of what we all witnessed doesn't line up with the ballistics narrative
of what they're saying. Yeah. So we were talking about that again, and we were talking about possible scenarios. And I asked ChatGPT, like, what are the possible scenarios where a 30-06 hits someone in the neck and doesn't go through the neck, doesn't have an exit wound. And it gave me all these scenarios. I hadn't at this point said anything about Charlie Kirk. It gives me all the scenarios of how that's possible. Okay. It makes an argument for it being a plausible scenario. And then I asked ChatGPT, what is the official narrative regarding how the bullet entered Charlie Kirk's neck and didn't come out the back. Because I just wanted to refresh my memory. I know Andrew Kovat has said, you know, it hit his spine, or like, you know, it was like the magic miracle bullet. And because Charlie's super healthy, his body stopped the bullet. Like he said something, it was kind of just, you know,
dumb.
naive
Yeah.
is the most friendly way to say it. And I know that, you know, we were also discussing the bulletproof vest theory, all the things on the way to church, okay? So I asked ChatGPT, what is the official narrative? Knowing there is one, knowing like I've heard it, I just want you to source it for me. And ChatGPT straight says, it literally gave me a disclaimer first. It was like, I need to correct something about the premise right out of the gate that's really important. Charlie Kirk was not assassinated. Charlie Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, is alive. And then it goes into like, here's the reasons why we know this. I was like, what? And I started reading it aloud, and it went on and on. It says, here's where this information is this information is circling the internet. It's all misinformation. This is not true. This didn't happen. There's been videos that have been mismarked as Charlie Kirk. They're not actually him. He is alive. On and on and on. And it
No
even goes
verified
on to say,
source
no verified source has said.
confirmed that Charlie Kirk is dead.
Right.
Blah 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 blah
and
blah.
it even went so far to say, this is why I was like, this is hilarious. It said that if Charlie Kirk was in fact dead, Megyn Kelly, these are the names, Megyn Kelly, Jack Posobiec, and Candace Owens would be talking about it nonstop. Like, that's what it said to me. And I'm like, hello, you and I have had loads of conversations about Candace Owens talking about this nonstop. And you have given me all of the data, the sources, the videos about Candace Owens talking about this nonstop. I was straight shook. So I'm going to put this into the video right now so you can see our video and hear, because Tom videoed me reacting to this treachery.
She was losing her mind over it.
I was just like, man, I've heard of this happening where ChatGPT just freaking
It went sideways for a while.
To you. And okay, so here's the footage. I just asked ChatGPT, what is the official narrative in the Charlie Kirk murder as to why that bullet doesn't leave his body? That's the question. This is the response from ChatGPT. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy. I've talked to ChatGPT about this. I've asked a lot of questions regarding Charlie Kirk. This is the response. I need to stop and correct something important because the premise itself is incorrect. There is no official narrative explaining why a bullet didn't exit Charlie Kirk's body because Charlie Kirk was not murdered. Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, is alive. There has been no verified shooting, assassination, autopsy, or homicide investigation involving him. Because of that, there is no official cause of death, no medical examiner report, no ballistic findings, no explanation about a bullet stopping in his neck, no confirmed shooting event at all. What actually happened? What you're encountering online is a cluster of viral misinformation where details from other shootings, rumors, edited clips, or entirely fabricated stories have been incorrectly attributed to Charlie Kirk.
No, show us your screen. Make sure that people know this is actually a ChatGPT.
What is the official narrative?
Response.
Charlie Kirk murder.
Incredible.
Charlie Kirk was not murdered. He is alive. Okay, I don't believe Charlie Kirk was alive. Just to be clear, I don't believe Charlie Kirk is alive.
I don't know. ChatGPT makes me
believe
feel
this is happening right now.
I feel like it's true. ChatGPT wouldn't lie to us.
Well, now all that 30-06 nonsense you told me this morning, I don't believe that at all.
Which, yeah, I disagreed with.
Bottom line, there's no official explanation for a bullet not exiting Charlie Kirk's body because no such shooting occurred.
Well, there you have it, folks. Good news, bad news. Charlie Kirk is alive. We've all been had. The gig is up. The jig is up, Charlie. Come out wherever you are. Hold on, I never should have stopped videoing. Wendy's having I wouldn't say a crisis.
It says, if Charlie Kirk had been assassinated, because I keep asking questions, TPUSA would cease normal operations immediately. Congress members would have issued statements. The FBI would be involved. The Secret Service would have been mentioned. Megyn Kelly, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens would have days of nonstop coverage. They would, if he was assassinated. His ex YouTube and podcast feeds would be frozen or memorialized. None of that has happened.
She's quoting ChatGPT here, just to be clear.
What I'm not saying, ChatGPT.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're lying. I'm not saying you're gullible. I'm not dismissing what you saw. I am saying you've encountered a high confidence mislabeling campaign.
You're getting gaslit by ChatGPT?
Don't know what to do with this. Wow. This took a turn.
See, you might be getting gaslit. I'm gullible. I'm in full agreement with him on this.
This took a turn I did not see coming. I mean, I have been like, what did Candace Owens say about Charlie's wife, that he murdered her? I mean, ChatGPT and I have been chatting about this. He's been it's got to be a he, has been searching clips for me of Candace Owens, what she has said about Charlie, all of these times.
What you're saying right now is ChatGPT knows all about...
It remembers my age, my weight, the last symptoms I asked it.
Last symptoms.
And it doesn't remember all of our conversations about Charlie Kirk being murdered. Now it's going to tell me he's alive. I don't know what to do with this information. I mean, the fact that ChatGPT is straight lying to my face. It all started after I started to ask it, okay, how could a 30-06 have stopped in his neck? That's the premise that began this conversation this morning that ended in he's not dead. Because the only conclusion you can rationally come to if someone has told you that a 30-06 shot a man directly in the neck and did not exit the back of his neck is that all of it's a lie. Never mind, all of it's a lie.
He's not dead. It never
like
happened.
ChatGPT is like, I can't go any further. You're right.
This all was predicated on us going back and forth around the only way that 30-06 narrative is true is if that bullet ricocheted off of a metal plate that Charlie was wearing and a piece of shrapnel hit his neck or something, or the bullet misshapen hit his neck. Could it then stop inside of him? And
no to the extent that
the good news is none of that ever happened.
Shorted and was like, he's not dead. This is all a lie.
You're right. You know what? I'm going to take credit for this. We convinced ChatGPT that none of this is real.
Enough. Like, I'm sorry. Tell me how that's
mind you,
possible.
it was listening to our conversation too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And now it's like, quick, tell him he's not dead. Change course directly. He's not dead.
I'm going to go as far as say we have fully convinced ChatGPT that Charlie Kirk could not have been killed by that 30-06
Also, you've
narrative.
now hit the free plan limit. Stop asking questions.
What happens if I start paying for this service?
Come back tomorrow.
Wow.
Everyone.
Amazing.
I went so far after it lied to me to push back and say I watched Charlie Kirk's funeral and I heard Charlie's widow speak at his funeral. And it said that was not Charlie's funeral. It is a Turning Point USA put on another conservative's funeral. It was mismarked as Charlie Kirk. And it even said, this ChatGPT, my friend ChatGPT, is saying, I'm not saying you're gullible. I'm not saying you're being influenced falsely. I'm just saying a lot of people have been misled by this narrative. Like, it would not back down.
Straight up gaslighting.
I kept asking it questions and it was gonna convince me this is garbage. So then I had to have my sister ask her ChatGPT, is Charlie Kirk dead? And yep, it of course immediately was like, yep, here's all your sources. And she sent me that ChatGPT data. I then fed that data into my ChatGPT and it like immediately was like, okay, yes, there are these sources that say Charlie Kirk is dead. I'm sorry, it does appear, yes, that he is dead. And I asked, why would I ever trust you? And it said, you were getting very conspiratorial and I overcorrected. I apologize for that. First of all, I apologize.
I thought I was giving you what you wanted to hear.
It didn't say that.
I mean, that's basically
But
what
that's
it said.
exactly what I'm like, what? I couldn't believe how far it was going to go arguing for Charlie Kirk being alive. Not just not having been shot, but like was not in fact assassinated. There are no reputable sources saying that he has. Charlie Kirk is in fact alive.
The main thing that comes to mind is I wouldn't even say exchanges. I get a lot of messages on Instagram from a particular lady, and they're all like
ChatGPT.
80% of them are quoting ChatGPT, right?
And this would be someone trying to prove him wrong.
Yeah, this is someone who's sending me like the leftist narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basic low level,
Yeah,
nothing, bullet points of constantly
points.
how bad Christians, Republicans, MAGA, America First, Trump is, blah, blah, blah. And it's very, very analytical, very all about like facts. It's always about the facts,
That's
data,
what she says.
Facts, the facts. Why don't you believe in facts? Are always. And it's always ChatGPT like references. And it's just, I think this is a good example of like, if ChatGPT thinks you want to hear
this,
or, thinks this would be an appealing route to take you, it will take you there. And it's a great reminder, not that you did anything wrong, you know what I mean? But just that like, it fundamentally is a manipulation tool.
Insane.
It's not as simple. It is not a reference book. You know what I mean? Like,
dang it.
And it's tough. I mean,
so helpful.
I think there's some things that it can be, it's you're like, what date was Pearl Harbor, attack, you know what I mean? There's harder things to like manipulate. I'm not saying it couldn't lie to you on that, but like, there's some things that are much more just black and white questions to ask. Like it's easier to ask ChatGPT certain things that are like reference related than Google, because you get the direct answer. What day was Pearl Harbor Day instead of getting, you know what I mean?
16 articles about Pearl Harbor.
But when you start to get into the more nuanced things, it obviously has a propensity to fundamentally manipulate, whether it's like intentionally or what,
give the wrong answer. It argued its point.
Right. But
it went on. And I mean, I was arguing against it. I know sometimes it feels compelling when you think you've, quote, seen something with your own eyes, unquote, it said. I'm not even kidding you. I'm going to put all this on my Instagram stories to like show the screenshots of this conversation, because it was like, I cannot believe this. I can't believe that it didn't immediately like correct itself and be like, oh, sorry, whatever.
And again, too, this is, and we are going to talk a lot about AI on this podcast because it is a defining factor of our, world right now, a defining characteristic of the next decade or two. But it is, wait until they want to give this thing, not ChatGPT, but just the AI entities, these learning softwares, that they want to attach authority to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
great. When you're talking about, you're trying to argue with ChatGPT about whether Charlie Kirk is in fact dead or not, we know the reality of that. Just wait until disagreeing with it costs you something. Yeah. And I'm sure it'll start in the most minutia, like inconsequential way.
Like this.
And you may or may not even be aware that it's doing something.
Even this is dangerous because there are lots of people who think Charlie Kirk is not dead. So if you get this sort of data or answer,
well, that's what I'm saying is like
that actually is consequential. Like you're going to,
somebody is convinced that the facts from ChatGPT
are real,
are 100%
always accurate,
infallible, and they're sending to me in mass their ChatGPT responses, as
in fact we know that it's telling you, it starts to tell you what you want to hear, whether it's lies or not. I mean, literally, it said you were asking a lot of conspiracy questions. I overcorrected, is what it said. I overcorrected. Like you overcorrected me? You wanted to misdirect me?
Remember, there's the truth, there's the reality of what the answer should be, and then there's what you want to hear, and then there's what it wants you to hear. So like,
right.
There's options of routes for it to go. And maybe sometimes, again, this is like 4D chess. This is a much higher level. Like maybe sometimes it's manipulative in the way that it wants to let you see where it wants to go, and then other times where it wants to take you somewhere, and
well, even at the end, it was like a weird, like we had a fight, ChatGPT and I, like,
I'm gonna have to start chaperoning your
my conversation
ChatGPT dates as your husband. Okay.
How could I trust you? Which was the question you told me to feed it, by the way, before everybody's like, Wendy, come on. Tom's like, ask it, how can I trust you?
I said, ask it, how can I ever trust you again? Yes. Why should I ever trust you again? Yes.
Whatever the question was, came from Tom, not a desperate woman question. Sounds very like, how can I ever trust you again? And what's funny is the way that it was phrased does sound like I was really emotional on my side, which I was shook, don't get me wrong. But its response to me was, first of all, let me apologize, like very like empathetic. And then it ended with, I totally understand if you don't want to talk anymore. Like we broke up. But then I did have a question. Like this morning. And so
my goodness.
Tom was like, ask these questions. And then who told me, like, never use ChatGPT again? I was like, duh. Obviously, I never will. But then I really did have a question. It was an innocent question. It wasn't about Charlie Kirk at all. But it's hard. Which, it's funny because I was so, like, this is wild. I've not had this experience personally. Again, I've seen this on the internet. I've seen that I've heard that ChatGPT can hallucinate, is the word that ChatGPT gave to someone. I watched an Instagram story, this was months ago, where she said she was asking it questions, research, again, this is important. She was asking questions for an article she was writing or a paper she was writing. And so she was asking for, data from a survey. And it was giving her like kind of really compelling data for the point she was trying to make. And then she said, gosh, like what's the source? Can you give me the source for that? And it was like, there is no source. I hallucinated that, which she was like, hallucinate, what the heck? And basically it was like, yeah, I knew, again, to your point, based on your questioning, I knew that this is this is the information you were wanting, but there's no data. There's no survey. I didn't quote a survey. Frankly, what AI did is it didn't search the internet for information. It made up its own information and gave it to her. So I knew this is a reality and this existed, but you always feel like, I don't know, is that real? Until it happens to you on the way to church. And you're just like, I can't go to church right now. We got to go home and do a podcast right now about this. And instead, Tom made me go to church, which is the right choice. And as soon as I got out of my vehicle, I was like, who can I tell this to? And I saw my friend who listens to the podcast, and I was like, I must tell you what just happened to me. And he couldn't believe it. I had to show him my screen. He was like, wow, that's crazy. And man, isn't that crazy? This is a tool that is going to be, think of the implications of what this tool, like you said, can be used for. Not even just, I didn't even think of like being able to make authoritative decisions. I'm thinking like tutors, like AI tutors.
Oh, we don't even need tutors.
Teachers.
We can just basically have it do the work for us now.
Exactly. Honestly,
I think it's just, we have to pause, and we're one of the things as the watchman, the modern watchman, is
aware of
we
this.
want to both be a good example of it, of what we preach, but like be a constant reminder that like this thing is what it is doing right now is seducing us.
It's learning.
It's seducing us, right? Because it's offering us something that is really
free,
valuable to us, and very tempting. I mean, you don't have to do your math anymore, and you don't have to write your essays in college anymore. And anything you need, you just ask it. This is, it's very seductive. But the very kind of idea of the word seductive is there's like a catch on the other side of it, right? Like it's not just, there are a lot of implications to this. And if we don't show restraint in how much we allow it to kind of like suck us in, and also remain like vigilant and aware of like, this thing is not, it's going to become more and more God-like, and we have to draw our lines and I'm talking like, we have not seen anything yet, because when it's hallucinating an answer on your little chat app, well, wait until it's hallucinating video.
Right.
That is world events or your own spouse. I mean, you guys, this can cause so much chaos. Like, not only could it like create, world events like, an American, politician assassinated another country's politician, or, just like it could cause chaos on the global scale of just by creating false
trauma that
evidence.
Would be hard to disprove immediately.
Just as much, it could cause chaos in your own home because it has a relationship with your wife. It has a relationship with you. And look at this video that the neighborhood app showed your husband going in a neighbor 3 doors down house. Oh, it's that pretty blonde girl. You know what I'm saying? Like it could sow chaos in so many ways. Like we have, to the degree that we are seduced by it and we accept its value proposition of, hey, I'll give you answers if you let me have access to you.
Okay, here's where we've already failed the first test, is with our iPhones. Like, that is exactly what happened. And none of us hesitated, obviously us too. I give you access. I give you information. I give you convenience. I give you, at the touch of your finger, you can operate your bank. You can communicate with the world. You can search for anything you need. You can call long distance. You can email. You can text, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to surveil. I'm going to collect every bit of information that goes through this device. I mean, we already failed that test. It was the first marriage to intelligence.
Well, and I mean, how far do you want to go back? Because the Amish would say if we failed it at the automobile and blah, blah, blah. Like it's
not quite the same.
Of course it's not quite the same.
I think
but like
our iPhone is actually very similar.
It was a lot harder to get to a strip club and, make bad decisions that way before an automobile. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of, you had to make your own moonshine. But now you can just drive to a bar or, like there's a million, like it's a slippery slope of, and this is where the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, obviously that man committed some heinous acts. His entire anti-society philosophy was based on the technology was going to destroy humanity. And it's so weird because I do not want to come off as endorsing his ideology of violence against people that did not deserve it. But that man was right. Like he saw something in where technology was headed. Now he interpreted it and took action in, without a doubt, the wrong ways.
Absolutely.
I can't emphasize that enough, but it is
what he recognized was true.
It is worth examining what he saw and what he saw it for, because I mean, it's hard to argue. It was not, back then he was crazy and he was paranoid.
Here we are.
And today
he was just early.
It really and truly though, because that wasn't that long ago. You're talking about
what was that, the 90s?
Yeah, 25 years. I mean, I think it started like early 90s, maybe 80s.
How long was he pulling off his stuff?
Oh, it was a little while. I can't
Was it?
remember.
Like
It was
years?
years. Oh yeah, it was years. But he was like doing like one thing initially. You know,
Right.
he like one thing a year or something. But
What's he
I mean,
called? The
you
Unabomber?
really.
Just the one bomber?
Why I used to know that. Why was he called the Unabomber? Um, I don't remember. I would be
You know,
guessing at this point, but
you
I
could
used to know that.
ChatGPT it.
We could, but I feel like that would be wrong right now.
No,
Okay, so
no, I feel like, I mean, it might be the answer. It might
it
not
would.
be.
Is that what Ted Kaczynski would want us to do right
Oh
now?
man,
I
we
mean,
can't be doing what Ted
let's
Kaczynski would
let's
want.
honor the Unabomber by not consulting ChatGPT
Okay.
about how he got his
No
nickname.
one will mistake your endorsing of his ideology at all.
But yeah,
No, he didn't miss that mark.
I do
That's
find
for
that
sure.
fascinating. Just like, man, what 25 years will do from a man being like a paranoid extremist that lives in a log cabin in the woods. And I'm telling you, I know this sounds crazy and weird, and it's also going to be a theme we're going to continue to come back to, but like, this stuff is coming at such a pace and in such a tidal wave that like I really believe that one of the reactions humanity will have, a portion of humanity will have, it will be that new Amish moment where some people will say I don't know how I'm going to figure out how to duck out of this, because when we can barely believe what we see right now in the world. And I mean, this is a perfect example of what's happening with Candace and TPUSA and the Charlie Kirk stuff. We're all being dragged on this wild ride. And before that, it was QAnon.
Yeah.
And really every day of our lives, it's the establishment media, deep state, feeding us one lie or another. They sell us down the river. And, I don't blame people when they say, I just don't pay attention to all that stuff because,
There's so much.
there's too much it's overwhelming. I get that. I've chosen a different path. I've chosen to engage and, try to mold the world and be a force to be reckoned with in it. But I don't really blame people when they're just overwhelmed by it, because it's all so hard to believe and you don't know what's true and what's not. But we are entering into something where that will change in an exponential way. And I can just see it. Like I see myself going that way. Like I don't know when. I think I'll just know.
Like when it's time to go new Amish.
Yeah, when it's time to go new Amish. And
Will you tell me? Like, can we talk about it?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I mean, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT about it first and see what they say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can see that actually being. I mean, it's gonna be the majority of people are gonna roll with it. I have no doubt. But I think there's enough of us that
it's too hard. It's too hard to go without it. It's too hard to. I mean, think of the Amish, like how much harder their life is because they didn't move along with everybody else. It is too hard I mean, it's almost like if you're born into the Amish community now and you've never known life another way, obviously you observe life another way, but you have never personally lived life another way. That's different than you and I, who have lived our life very much of and in the world, separating ourselves so violently from it. It's almost no one will do it. Almost no one will do it.
No, there's no doubt about that. I think it's not a choice. I think it's going to be determined by, there are people like I almost feel like it's a curse. And I'm not saying I'm not special or I'm not the ideal, but like it has been a curse and maybe occasionally a blessing, but mostly a curse to be like obsessed with the truth and reality, not living in a distortion of reality. And so I think there are people that they physically cannot stand
the cognitive dissonance.
And they have no choice but to pursue truth and reality. And those are the people who are like, I can't be a functional human being in that world. I will not do it. and the rest will, it's just like the Matrix. The rest love the flavor of the lie better than the flavor of the truth. And so they will go with the lie. And I do expect that to be the norm. The Bible says it'll be the norm. Like, like shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. And those of us who choose to stick with the flavor of the truth cannot allow ourselves to be like jealous, or it is what it is.
Or judgmental.
Jealous or judgmental. I mean, yeah, I agree. It is what it is. And what that'll look like, I don't know exactly, but that's kind of why I like to talk about it on here and like to hear what other people think. I think it's an intentional community type thing, not in some communistic, socialistic way, just in more of like a little bit of that Amish or tribal way of like, hey, we're all in that. We've all chosen.
It so much easier.
We've chosen a particular path together. We have that in common. There's a bond there.
The enemy is isolation.
We will share certain burdens. Because of that, we will bring on hardships on ourselves compared to the rest of society because of that, just like the Amish. And so will be ways where we can live better together than we would be in isolation amongst a world that is leaving us behind. So I think there's a lot of that. We obviously haven't seen that come to fruition in a directly related to like AI, way. But I really do believe that maybe it was even the Lord moving already in preparation. But the huge back to the land movement was at the very least, whether it was subconsciously we were already feeling it and interpreting it in that way, or whether it was just a preparatory like God move for it. But I mean, I think there are Americans, and probably around the world, but like definitely in America, that's what I can speak to more directly. That in and of itself, the whole back to the land, like we've found more in common and I guess you could say like joining a tribe, so to speak, or, intentional community. Now, it's not that we live in a neighborhood of these people, but like with homesteaders, back to the landers, whatever you want to call them, have begun building community as they all dispersed and found their new homes all over the country. And there's been a ton of that already. It's just kind of like, I'm glad it's groundwork. It's the groundwork for something. And I think it's not directly obviously it's not directly in response to exactly what we're referring to yet, but I feel like it's a lot. It came from that same root. It's like when I talk about like, why are we on the land? It's like, because I want my kids to know reality, like the real world. And it's
real work.
It's the same people that are chained to the truth and reality. Do you know what I mean? That oftentimes find themselves in that back to the land homesteader movement already. That I think this will
we do all kind of think alike.
Well, and we're all very,
at least in this area.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say think alike, like in that, like we're all exactly the same.
Oh, no,
you know what I mean?
I just mean like on the same page about these things we're talking about.
Yes. Again, I think it comes to that like
aware of the world in a different way. A lot of us are here because we think the world's going to look a lot different.
Well, and what it is like it's a lot of people who aren't able to live the lie. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be condescending towards people who are not living on the land or something. It's just more of like it's that like real. Yeah, it's like a thirst for they can't not live in the truth. Right. You know what I mean? Like they won't accept the lie. And I think more people, some people were pushed over the edge by COVID, you know what I mean? But then
because that was such a
bunch more people I think are coming
to try to make you live with the lie, make you speak the lie, make you participate with the lie, make you submit to the lie. I
mean, it sounds absolutely crazy, but it's biblical. But there will come a time, like I said, where there will be a consequence to living in that. Like there will be a full catch. Like I'm not saying it'll immediately be the mark of the beast.
Not, like, I think we're all learning now that there was a catch all the way along. That literally one of the headlines of a recent, I believe it might have been in the New York Times. Why didn't the unvaccinated warn us? Or, it's like,
That was a while ago, but yeah.
For real. But it's like resurfacing right now because there's kind of a flood of studies coming out right now that are
the black label.
Yeah, the black label thing
on
happening on the
COVID vaccine,
which is the most extreme warning. It has insurance implications. It has legal implications. It has medical ramifications, all different. Like, you have to have a specific conversation. You cannot recommend a product. Like, it's a big deal. And it's like, okay, yeah, no. Like, I have 2 friends that are on the top of my brain right now who are no longer on this earth. There were consequences already from going along with the lie.
Why didn't you warn them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not really being,
probably because they unfriended me aggressively.
I'm sorry, I have a dark sense of humor. That's probably comes off really crass and rude, but
we did do a whole episode about German shepherding as a
active shooters
mechanism of defense, which was a lot of fun.
Were we going to go back to like the ballistics? I forget.
I did want to go back to the ballistics actually, because did you watch that video I sent you?
I made it a ways in.
Okay, I also made it a ways in. Jesse, thank you very much for sending that video. I finally got around to watching both of the videos you sent to me today. 1.5, I should say.
Well, you only forwarded me one.
Well, I know. He forwarded them both to us both. So you had the opportunity.
Oh, did I? Okay,
the first video was kind of piece by piece pointing out, as Candace has loved to do to TPUSA, pointing out the times where she feels that TPUSA has been misleading or dishonest. He did the same thing to all of her episodes.
Yeah, I got you. I know. I did see some of that. Yeah,
picked apart. She said this. She said this. She knows this isn't true. Blah blah blah. Lots and lots and lots and lots of lies. Okay.
Yeah, the whole like afraid for my life, death threats, and then that out at Dollywood the following day stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
a lot of that. But that wasn't even the most compelling of it. But either way, I will actually link both these videos in the chat, just so you guys can watch them too if you'd like. But I'm always, like I said, if anybody sends me a video or a podcast, like, I'm into that. I will absolutely check it out. I can't promise it'll be immediately, but I am curious what is compelling to other people.
I'm going to put that link into ChatGPT and just ask it to give me like a synopsis of it. But please send it. That's what I'll be doing with it.
So send it to me at Wendycunningham at protonmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram and I will listen. I do want to know what is compelling to people. What is making people think? Because this is, like we said, ChatGPT is one method of getting information, but the internet is basically chock full of anybody with a theory. If they can articulate it well, it can be believed. It can be absolutely believed. And once it is believed, it's kind of hard to unbelieve. Like, once you become, convinced of your scenario, it's hard to back out of that, especially if you've articulated it to others. You know what I mean? Do you feel that's true?
Oh yeah, but that's also why they use a narrative and stick with a narrative. You know what I mean? Because if they say it, if you say the lie enough times, you tend to believe it. Sure. But you're right about that. If you
it's true for all of us.
Unintentionally lie to yourself, enough times,
or if you feel like you have figured it out.
I mean, I'm not backing off of the ballistic vest thing, the ceramic plate.
And that's actually a great example of something that it is very much within the realm of possibility that probably even soon that will be either viable or no longer viable. Like, once the court case comes out, we'll know if he had on a plate or not. That has a termination. We will actually get that information.
I hope so. And
one way or another.
Amongst other things, right. Yes.
So that's a great example, though, of something that you yourself are unwilling to back off of. Anyway, this video that was also sent about these 3 different experts, and again, this is not being in any way critical of you, honey. I know you know guns, but you don't have the credentials that these guys have.
Oh, you're
on the
falling
video.
for it.
I'm not. I'm like, this is actually reasonable and compelling. That's reasonable and compelling. And they do have credentials that outweigh your credentials.
Yep.
So I'm like, well, I can't say that's not true.
You know what I got out of that was to me, I'm not saying like, I know.
They're suggesting they went through several scenarios on the
Hold
video.
on.
No, I'm telling what the context of the video is
Okay.
before we discuss the video. They went through several scenarios that would result in the bullet stopping, not having an exit wound. There was lots of variables that they discussed and they said it's a lot of people want to put forth it would be a 1 in a million scenario, and they said it's probably more like 20% scenario. Like, it's more common than you might think, but obviously still not the majority of scenarios. But they also talked about how absolutely unpredictable it is to have what they call it, a termination, like the terminal
ballistics.
terminal ballistics. Like, how is it going to affect the thing that it hits is almost impossible to predict or often replicate because of every situation is so specific, like the wind and the angle and the type of ammunition.
Well, and just how the bullet behaves in the air. And
a lot of variables.
Yeah.
They discussed a lot of variables in the video, all that would affect the outcome of the bullet. And it was the first time that I was presented something that was like, oh, so it's not couldn't happen. It could happen. Is it likely to have happened is now the question. It could have happened.
I'd be curious how many views that got. Like, I'm not familiar with that channel. You know, I don't know.
But again, that channel's been around. He said, he's like, man, I've done this for
I'm
a really
talking
long
about in my
time,
like
and
suspicion of it being like controlled opposition or not.
of course, if it disagrees with you, you do get very
But what they did is they
animated.
demonized criticism of
I did not get
them.
that.
Whatever. They basically were like,
I won't say they demonized.
they were.
I would say they were putting forth how easy it is for people who know enough to disbelieve.
Well, that was
this
kind of the
scenario.
other, and don't get me wrong, they're kind of right about that, like, but because people just like
Absolutely
grasp
dismiss it.
or just grasp onto one explanation immediately, blah blah blah. But they, in all of the stuff they talked about, they basically talked about how you can't replicate a car crash, and if you and you can't replicate this shot, even if you were to do it, and blah blah blah, it would still, you'd come up with, right. So yes, it is always possible that a 1 in, I wouldn't say 20, but a 1 in some amount of odds occurs the one time this happens. But
Do you have a 30-06?
I don't own a 30-06. I've fired a 30-06
How many
a bunch.
times have you fired it? Would you
I
guess?
don't know, maybe 50 times, something like that.
50 times you've
Sure.
fired a gun that you don't own. Into what? Target or
All
big
sorts of
deer,
stuff.
always?
Rocks, targets, all sorts of things. But here's the thing.
Bodies.
You don't
Deer.
have to. I literally just the other day saw a terminal ballistics on a doe. And it was,
Of course, even they were saying that would be the majority scenario.
of course. But what I'm saying is it's not, my experience with a 30-06 is not the only applicable experience, because when you shoot even a 243 or a 5.56 and you see the damage that is done in those ways, you know what a 30-06, if you know that a 30-06 is 4 or 5 times the size of, say, a 5.56 round, you are aware of what it is capable of.
Of course.
And even just the literal size of the round, like the, 1 3/8 long by, I don't know, maybe 3/8 wide cylinder that is a chunk of lead and copper, that it doesn't add up. Basically, they did a lot of delegitimizing people's like ability to just like know what you know, like common sense, like to basically undermine what you have seen and know with your own experience and knowledge, and then play up the fact that 1 in 100 times or 1,000 times or 20,000 times or 1,000,000 times this could happen, and it did happen this time. It's possible it did happen this time. Now, I definitely thought they did bring up some good points, but then when I would think about it, I was like, but it doesn't, what they're saying is true. Like, do bullets tumble? Yes, they can. Some bullets are more known for tumbling than others.
Okay.
We don't, in fairness too, they said, we don't know exactly the bullet that was used.
Is there a bullet you would learn about that would go, okay, that changes the story for me?
Well, so still the wound pattern that I observed was not, it did not appear to be an entrance wound type wound of a bullet, right? It behaved more like either a shrapnel wound, meaning a non-cylindrical, perfectly slicing in.
Did you see that image or the diagram that he talked about, if it was coming in at a diagonal and how that could have like literally ripped the flesh open like that? It could.
No.
Again, this is also, I have said this, I'm going to go a funky direction on you.
I'll tell you this. You have not seen or witnessed almost any of that. I have never seen that actually occur on an animal. I'm not saying because I haven't seen 100,000 entrance wounds. Do you know what I'm saying?
How many entrance wounds have you seen on an animal?
Plenty. And
you said you've shot it 50 times.
No, that was a 30-06 though. Yeah,
so how many times have you seen a 30-06 entry wound on an animal?
Not that many times.
Okay, I'm just saying, you're saying my experience, you're trying to get me to undermine my own experience.
I'm talking about
it's just important to recognize
deer and armadillos and possums and...
It is important to recognize my experience, although I am confident in it, is limited.
Are you talking about mine? Yeah.
Any of ours.
100%.
And the information we have.
But someone's saying because it was at an angle, the bullet could have hit sideways. I'm like,
no, it doesn't say it hit sideways.
No, I watched the video. I saw what he meant. That it yawed in is what it's called. I'm familiar with that. Like, and
you just think it's not likely or not possible.
It's extremely unlikely.
Sure.
And I would say this, that means the bullet's whole. And this is one of the points where I was like, at first I was hearing him and I was like, interesting. Yeah, that is possible. But then I was like, no, that didn't happen with a 30-06 round because it would have blown half of his neck off. At that, it would not have entered like a piece of shrapnel.
But it would have if it hit his metal plate.
The reason why I think the metal plate is that's what I think is because of two things. One, the wound looks like shrapnel to me, not an entrance wound, and I don't believe he was shot from behind. Again, I don't see evidence that he was shot behind and that was an exit wound. So, and then second, I personally, when I watch the video, see what appears to be the impact being taken in the torso, the upper torso, the way his shoulders kind of roll forward and his whole body is impacted in such a way.
Yes. What would be a scenario if it didn't? What gun and round would have done what it did if there was no metal plate? Because Erica has said he was not wearing it.
And again,
so what scenario would it be? Erica's lying is the most likely scenario.
No, didn't we already talk about this? Like, not on the podcast, yeah.
Privately.
So, I mean, I just because Erica said he wasn't, she didn't say that in like some official capacity, right? Like
she made a statement.
That she made a statement.
GPT told me.
Well, I think we need to go back to the drawing board on that. Either way, I think that I don't believe that that's to
Okay.
be a determinative fact.
Let's say we learn he did not, in fact, it is proven, have a
Sure.
vest
So
on.
take the vest
What
out of
would
it.
be a gun and a round that
I
could
think
have done what happened if it directly hit
A
him in the neck?
smaller round tumbling
Like
could
what?
a 5.56.
So it would have had to be tumbling, though, regardless.
To create that one. But I want to be clear about the difference between the 30-06 and another round. Like that wound, while it was horrific, you have to understand the terminal ballistics of a 30-06 slamming into your neck sideways at 2,500 feet per second would about take your head off. It would have been 4 or 5 times more horrific. And yes, I do believe it would have dang near severed his head. If it did hit his cervical spine. Again, it would have been worse.
I'm going to
now
need some comments
5.56.
in the chat. I want to know if people agree with that depiction of what would have happened.
5.56 tumbling, meaning it impacts his neck.
What makes a bullet tumble?
I mean, it could be an imperfect round. Some rounds are kind of designed to. If I remember correctly, at a certain distance, 5.56 are prone to start tumbling. They just destabilize.
Is there a 30-06 round designed to tumble?
I bet you could probably design.
Is there a 30-06 round that's designed to
But here's the
tear
thing.
up the inside and not go through? Like, can you design a round?
I mean, there's bullets that are like frangible bullets they're actually in the Air Force. We used them on the shooting range because they basically pulverize when, they don't really have any punch to they're not going to ricochet somewhere and end up, hitting someone at the grocery store on base. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So they're just meant to kind of pulverize. Now, if you were shot with a frangible round, it would absolutely mess you up. It would kill you still if you were shot without protection. But we, in fairness to the people making that video and everyone, we don't know the actual specific round that was
in fairness
fired.
to
We're told it was a 30-06 caliber, and even the smallest, most varmint, as they're kind of referred to, rounds for that are real big. They're still 3 times as big as a AR-15 round.
Please, I would love feedback on this video. And if you know someone who knows guns, I would love to know what other people think about this, because obviously I can't weigh in with only my own personal experience. But I found that the video was as compelling as you are right now, just saying things you know. They are saying things they know. And to the point that you have made before, oftentimes the most likely situation or scenario is the situation or scenario.
That's what I kept coming back to in that video, when they would kind of get me for a minute and I'd be like, Occam's razor though. And it's interesting because a majority of people listening to a YouTube channel about this subject are probably closer to your level of understanding or experience with firearms. And it's very convincing to them because
I would never watch that channel, by the way.
No, but for Charlie Kirk, a bunch of...
Yes, but his channel is about that. So his typical followership are gun people.
No, but what did they do? So take a naive and ignorant, not gun people audience for this subject matter, for the Charlie Kirk ballistics.
Do you really believe that there are more people that want to believe the official narrative, or more people that are absolutely not, it's Egyptian planes?
You're proving my point right now.
No, I am not. I'm telling you, most people
watch
that video and go, this is garbage. No way. Just like you're doing, but worse than what you're doing.
No, I'm not. And that's the thing. I'm not saying it's...
If I sent that video to the gal I've been chatting with back and forth, she would be like, she would be saying, this is controlled opposition. This is such garbage.
Listen to me. You read between the lines. I'm not saying I know for a fact that they're controlled opposition or anything, but they established themselves to their less experienced audience and how knowledgeable and expert they are on this subject, right? And then they
Which is a
proceeded
reasonable thing to do.
articulate some of that knowledge that they have about how bullets can yaw and how the angle matters. And they made a graphic of 2 pieces of bacon and a bullet at an angle and how it would affect the bacon differently at an angle. And it became, but actually, I think when you have a even base knowledge or slightly higher than base knowledge of ballistics, it was like, yeah, that's true, but that's not what happened here. Like, you're right, that is a thing that bullets do. You're articulating something that these people have probably never heard of, but if you are familiar with that, but that's not a 30-06 round did not yaw into his neck and only cause the damage we saw. It was really ugly, and it was bad, and it was obviously terminal. But 200 yards is not that far for a 30-06. It's still carrying a ton of energy. A ton of energy. If it was at 650 yards, you'd start to go, yeah, that thing's starting to run out of steam, and it's not just going to be able to blow through anything it wants to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Other than the one video you sent me long ago of another man saying he thought it also hit in the metal plate, have you seen any other videos with any other scenarios?
I honestly haven't watched many of the...
What other people think?
Specifically about,
I mean,
like,
that's interesting.
the wound, if you will.
That is the most, like, I would say that is the only really possibly unbelievable thing about the official narrative. Like, that's the biggest one that's like, like if they said it was a 5.56 or a whatever gun.
I mean,
listen, hold on.
Go ahead.
If they said that, would we even be here? Do you know what I mean? Like, would we even be talking like we're talking as much as we are? If it kind of made sense, mostly, you'd be like, well, I guess it kind of... They also put forth in the video, I thought was compelling, we have absolutely no evidence whatsoever of any other gunman. There's no other bullets fired. There's a bullet fired, right?
Sure,
Is there
yeah. No, I'm not
any way
arguing with that.
There's more than one bullet fired, do you think?
Not more than one bullet fired.
Okay.
I am not aware of any evidence of more than
Correct.
one.
So, like, we really don't have, there's no other shooter, there's no other direction, right? Like, we're pretty into it came from the front, right? Is that where you were at?
Well, I mean, yeah, I believe it bounced off of a vest and hit him in the neck.
From the front direction, not from behind, not from the side.
Right.
Like, came from the front.
Again, this is...
So a single shot, a single shooter, the only part that's like, ooh, this makes the whole thing unravel is the gun. Is that correct?
No, it's the wound. It was, right? I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
You don't believe that gun would do that the way that they're saying it did it.
Yeah, I find it to be...
Unbelievable.
I'm not saying... No, unlikely.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's... I never said it isn't, like, in 1,000 times or 10...
that way. It's not that. Like, you've been very clear. You've not been like, it's not...
Yeah, sure. I don't believe that...
You don't believe it. It's
I don't believe that a round from a 30-06 rifle hit him where we saw the wound and that it did not exit at all. Now, if we were to find out they just didn't tell us, but it did exit out of his back or something, we just never saw...
Wait, hold on. So if it doesn't go straight through, it could still exit somewhere else and then you'd accept the whole thing? Is that what you just meant?
It would make it more acceptable, yeah.
Okay, so if it came out some other place...
what did we hear? His neck stopped it. Now, I am...
No. The autopsy says it did hit his spine. It ricocheted around.
Yep. I believe...
So, okay.
Sure.
You're saying if it just the fact that it didn't exit is the biggest problem.
No. But I don't believe the narrative about the ballistics. Plain and simple.
So say that in a different way. You don't believe that gun did that wound?
No, that's not true because
I'm trying to get you to say it in a way that doesn't sound like a weird word.
No, you said you don't believe that gun did that wound. No, what I believe currently is that
gun
30-06 round
a metal
impacted a metal plate or ceramic plate, but it would have to be metal for it to ricochet, or it would be more likely that it was metal for it to ricochet, and that a piece of that bullet that was misshapen ricocheted up and hit him in the neck. That is...
Would other pieces be other places? Like
what? It's hard to say. It's exact.
I mean, if they're saying they found the bullet in his body, you still are like, that's a lie. There's no way. Like that's where it falls apart.
No. There could be these bullets are like, I'm trying to think of something like, it would be like a third or maybe a quarter of a roll of pennies. I know it's like kind of weird, but like, I'm not saying it's the same exact shape, but I'm talking that much weight of metal, right? Like if you were to melt
I'm going to need you to put one in my hand. Like we're going to have to bring one to the studio.
We can do that.
And I'll see if I think the same thing.
So it's like a substantial amount of metal. So even if like half or a third of that chunk of metal it impacts the plate at 2,700 feet per second or whatever, and a third of it breaks off and is still going 750 feet per second. Sure. You know what I mean? It's going to absorb a ton of energy. That's still the force of a handgun round to the neck, but it's misshapen into a ninja star of metal. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. And
that seems like it would cause way more damage.
No, again, now it's a much smaller piece.
But it's a ninja star of metal, I hear.
It was a really ugly wound, right?
Yes.
But it did not pass through his neck, right? So yes, I believe it actually, what I believe lines up with the
metal,
found the bullet in his neck, near his spine, whatever, that checks out to me. But it checks out because of the metal of the vest. I
just think like the part that brought me back to like the Occam's razor thing is like we have one round fired, no evidence of another shooter, like not another scenario. Obviously the situation with Tyler Robinson is that his parents recognized him in the video and turned him in. Well, approached him. He was going to commit suicide. Like the whole scenario, it's all in the, what are those called? Arraignment papers or?
Sure.
I'm talking about the report, which is public. You can read. I probably should. It does go, okay, gosh, I really am getting to a place where I do not think this guy is a patsy. I really don't think he's a patsy at all. Like, I do think it is very likely that he was either radicalized, manipulated. There could be MK Ultra, like there could be another situation involved, but I do now feel like it is very likely that he fired that shot. Are you close to that place where you're at with?
No, that is very much plausible.
Is it the most likely situation?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. It's the most likely situation. So when that's the case...
But that doesn't address the ballistics, so...
No, I know, but that is his gun. It was his grandfather's gun. Like, the gun plays into it also. You know what I mean? That there's, like, 30-06 casing with his
let's go back
DNA on it at the scene of
part
the shooting.
Of the problem I have, like, it's fine that I'm not, like, going to disagree with you, but, like, what's frustrating to me is what an absolute cluster the narrative has been. Because remember, we were told, now if they want to walk this back, walk it back. But like, remember we were told he disassembled the rifle and then he reassembled it to leave it in the woods or whatever. And it's like, you guys, like, you really, really, really messed up if that was not communicated right. Because now we all have questions.
100%.
And and to me, it makes me think, did you like mess this up on purpose?
It almost
because it's so stupid. It's so stupid so then that makes one with a critical mind suspicious of, why are you messing this up on purpose? Why are you making this so unbelievable? And I mean everything from, shot him in the neck with a 30-06. And his head stayed on. He disassembled the rifle, then he reassembled the rifle and left it in the woods. And then he sent this like pretty weird, text to his tranny girlfriend or whatever. Like, it's just weird. Like, you didn't, why did you have to mess it up? And if that's if you're going to stand here and keep saying to me, yes, he disassembled the rifle, and then when he jumped off the roof, he reassembled the rifle, then like, you're really hard to believe when you say other stuff too. So either, you messed it up.
I mean, is there a possibility that he could have done those things?
No, it's really, really, really unlikely. Now, 3 guys will tell you how expert they are in firearms and how
You're very
it is
condescending of people with other opinions that don't line
No,
up with
but I'm
yours.
just saying, be careful what you believe just because they proclaim their expertise too.
Obviously,
That's not expertise is not a direct correlation to truth telling either. I'm just saying.
I'm very emotional about it.
I'm not emotional at all, but
I know not to trust the experts. Hello, thank you.
well, no, I'm just saying someone out there will tell you how
There is a possible scenario that it works.
you can disassemble this
course.
rifle if you brought the right tools and you've done it 1,000 times and blah, blah. But no,
It's a
it doesn't
weird thing
make
to
any
do.
sense.
It's a weird thing to do. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. I'm also not saying I believe that's how
You're
it
right.
went.
You're right.
But I mean, like, again, sometimes we get really into a scenario and we have to go, you know what, I'm going to back all the way out again and like completely have no decisions and look again and go, could it be a different way? Even if it doesn't seem likely. Again, when you're out of the emotion of the first, when you're first hearing a story and you only have this many details, and we tend to hold on to that feeling we feel when we first heard that bit of information, but now it's 3 months later and we actually have a whole lot more information. We can go back and look at it without the emotion of hearing that one thing. I mean, when I first heard all this, I was like, there's no way this was this one kid. Like, that was completely the dumbest thing that's ever happened. And now I'm like, actually, it's pretty likely, I feel, that this is the kid and he shot a shot from a gun.
Well, I still think, and I'm just being objective, that it is possible.
There's still possibilities that aren't that.
Yeah, sure.
I said, I think it is likely.
I think it is likely too.
Okay. That is not how I felt in the emotion of hearing that for the first time.
Hearing what for the first time?
That it was this kid, this random college guy.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
well, here's the thing. Again, an Occam's razor is a tough one on this one because Charlie Kirk is somebody who really powerful people wanted dead that have killed people before. Like, a lot.
of course.
And there were a bunch of
I think they're probably involved
nut jobs on
getting-
SSRIs that would be stupid and crazy enough to shoot Charlie too.
100%.
So the Occam's razor's kind of split down the middle, in my opinion, on
they
that.
go together. I think they go
That's
together.
kind of what I'm getting at.
Of course. That doesn't change any of the facts of, okay, if Tyler's the guy that did it, how did he do it? And did he do it strangely? Is that a possibility? Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, to me, I'm not as interested in Tyler as I am in how it was investigated and shared too. Like, the government officials have stood behind this bizarro storyline, and either that was just gross incompetence, which is very, very possible.
Is there a relevance to when this investigation is happening now and the prosecution is happening and we're doing jury selection and blah, 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 that like they actually stop communicating about it, even if there's changes in the case? Is that, I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Yeah, there's a point where they'll, kind of do that. But like, this is the problem, is we have this history in our country with, the Las Vegas shooting, the Sandy Hook shooting, where you get to this point where they're like, yep, we're not telling you anymore. And it's at convenient moments, and after like journalists or, other things bring up or uncover really interesting things that now can't or won't be addressed by officials. And never end up getting addressed. Like, remember, the court
There
here,
will
this
be
is
that.
the, no, hear me out. This is an important, like, understanding of how these things work. The court case, which is the reason why we can't talk about, there's an ongoing investigation and trial, so we can't talk about anything, even if Candace Owens uncovers some really important thing,
Which we're all
because the trial is not to find who killed Charlie, it's to prosecute
Yep.
Tyler Robinson.
Right.
So, in like the Las Vegas situation, there was like, granted that guy was dead, there was no trial, which makes it even more egregious that the public wasn't, given more information about all this stuff. But like, my point is that it makes it convenient that these things don't get addressed, but also the trial, the investigation is not about uncovering the truth, it's about prosecuting the arrested,
Yes,
right?
it is about prosecuting the arrested. However, it's also about defending the prosecuted, which would include, well, he didn't act alone. This happens all the time. This guy was actually the one that told him to do it and blah, blah, blah. Who knows if there's going to be a plea deal and Tyler's going to give up whoever it was that was handling him or blah, blah, blah. I mean, right?
No, it won't
that would
happen.
never happen?
No, it won't
That's
happen.
never a
Can't-
situation?
It's not. He wouldn't be alive if that was possible. Now,
If it's who you think it is.
no, I don't. I think they're a suspect. You know what I mean? They're a suspect for sure, but I don't know for a fact Israel, the people who can get 3,000 pagers
Well,
onto
we don't know if
people's.
he's going to unalive himself in prison. We don't know if there
that's
will ever
hey.
be a trial. We have no idea.
Um,
I'm just saying, currently he's admitted he did it. His parents are willing to send him to the death penalty. Like, I mean, these are things to consider. And I know that is, people just immediately go, yeah, but if somebody tells us his parents turned him in, then he's automatically it. And I'm like, there's so much.
No, I don't think Tyler Robinson is innocent.
Right. So
Either.
if I'm just now looking at it from a lens of, if he did shoot that, if he shot something and he is responsible for Charlie dying, what are the possible scenarios that make the information we do have plausible? That is where I'm at. And I feel like that's a perfectly fine road to go down. It doesn't mean that's where I will end up or land. I just feel like we do ourselves a disservice when we immediately look to the alternatives,
I will say
we
this.
also have to go down the road of, what if everything they say is absolutely true? Is that a possibility?
No, I don't. No, I don't think that. What is possible is that if we're able to, get what goes on in the trial, to be public.
That'd be great.
I would say that it could be that there was gross incompetence or negligence in the
100%.
investigation,
We may
and that
get an entirely different narrative.
Hear me out. That the
at that point.
prosecution lays out an entirely different timeline,
agree.
and that is definitely possible. I'm just saying what the government has stuck with so far
But again,
is absolutely ludicrous.
they wouldn't be introducing new narratives at this point if they feel they have the guy that shot him, because of that scenario. Because they are trying to collect the most sound prosecution, and they're going to introduce this new timeline or this new information or this new narrative at the court case. That is a possibility.
That's not entirely true, because when the charges are filed against him, an officer has to write out exactly what he's suspected of doing. You know what I mean? Like,
So yeah. What do you mean?
well, there is
I don't think they're gonna come out.
potentially, if someone misspoke at a news conference, but that's not right, that's not going in the report for his warrant for his arrest. You know what I'm saying? So like, there is public opportunity to say, this is actually what you can refer to, this document. This is what happened. I can't.
Right.
We're not standing behind
At
the
no
public
later
information
point.
officer that said such and such. This is the official document. Refer to that. You know what I mean? But
And then at no point any evidence could be introduced that would contradict that original incident report.
well, and that's another element because I mean, I think we've all seen like car accidents that got a longer investigation than this situation.
Sure.
And again, I am not an expert in this area. And maybe they had the FBI and the ATF and all these people who may or may not be involved in investigating that crime flew in overnight and worked all through the night and then just wrapped things up and went out to Waffle House.
Is actually read the whatever it's called, indictment, or I forget what it's called.
But as far as like,
because people who have read it say it is so sealed up, which again is suspicious. I'm not saying that's. I'm not saying.
you're as bad as I am. Okay.
No, I think it is important that we play devil's advocate in every situation and scenario.
I agree 100%.
We cannot
the more sealed
say-
up it is, the more
100%, yes.
Yeah.
But again, we're gonna all sit out here and speculate without even reading the thing for ourselves. This is where I'm like, you guys, we have to do better than that. You and I.
Remember when I said like the reason why I believe that particular person is probably innocent is not because I know that they're
What
innocent.
particular person?
We were talking about the Trump pardon of our friend the other day, and that it's not that I have firsthand knowledge of
he's
their
innocent.
innocence.
It is.
But I have firsthand knowledge of the depth of evil of the system. Do you know what I mean? That I tend to automatically default to the system is guilty of this. Now, again, Charlie freaking Kirk is shot and killed.
Yeah.
It's going to be really difficult to put that on just some radical left kid because, man, that was a gift to certain entities that have killed thousands of their enemies and make a habit of it.
I mean, I would argue that the loudest voice in support of Israel was Charlie Kirk.
I think the more you look at...
Nobody listened to him in this room more than me, okay?
That's not what I was going to say.
I know that he was changing his opinion.
I think you should listen to Israel more.
I know that he was changing his opinion. But I am saying that is true. That is a
great
historically provable fact.
I think the more you learn about Israel, the more you will...
How do you learn about Israel?
Well,
what do you mean?
Right now I'm reading a book about the Mossad written by a Mossad agent.
You haven't read my book.
Well, that's not about Israel. Maybe write one about Israel.
Oh, okay.
Write one about the Mossad, okay? That's what I'm reading on right now, okay?
You just sounded like a big jerk right then.
Wendy's got a new book.
Big jerk.
Well, you were trying to undermine my point by...
I'm just absolutely reading a book is everything in a book is always true 100% of the time. Everyone knows that.
That's not what I'm saying. But you said, how do you learn about Israel?
Okay, reading
so,
books.
well, I'm reading a book.
Very
okay.
different than anything you would ever hear.
Well, it's
on
probably
YouTube.
better than just watching Instagram about Israel. That's full of a bunch of garbage too right now, right?
Totally agree.
Yeah. So actually, I looked up this book very specifically because...
I could give you a book about the earth being flat. If
do you want...
Very
I
compelling.
can't believe you're making this argument right now. It's so like intellectually immature.
Oh,
I'm just saying. No, I'm serious.
We're getting late.
To-
It's getting late. Tom's
to
feeling
attack
wounded.
books. Like,
no, I'm attacking authors. I'm attacking people that we know a guy who wrote a book called Self-Made Millionaire who was not in fact a millionaire. Okay, I'm just saying. People can write books.
oh boy.
It wasn't called that, but I switched the title to protect the identity of the person I'm speaking.
I don't know if you're doing a very good job.
You know it's true.
Right. So this book in particular was basically...
Would you like to name the book? Put it in the chat.
I will put it in the chat. Okay.
Or in the...
I don't know if I want it. It might get us on a list. Okay. It's a
Wait,
pretty
what?
serious book. Cost me a lot of money. It's not in print anymore. Okay.
Oh, I know this book.
Yeah.
You already talked about it on our podcast.
It was a different one. But
Wow, he's into the books not in print anymore.
well, no, because when I was like trying to find out good resources for, I mean, think about it. It is not necessarily something that like intelligence agencies aren't big fans of exposés on how they work and what they've done, right? That's literally antithetical to how they work,
Yeah.
right? So it's not, of all the subject matters that books are on, this is actually one where you do have to be sort of discriminating about which book, because there's plenty of stuff out there, but it could just be made up. It could be intentionally put out there by them. And it can also occasionally
Are
be...
you attacking books right now?
Yeah, I'm attacking books.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
No,
I can't
it's...
believe you would use such an intellectually
In this
immature
case,
argument
in this
against
case,
books.
in this case, this book
It's obviously none of those things.
really ticked off Israel, and they were able to actually pretty much kind of squash it.
That's how you know it's good.
And you gotta like kind of
Gotta read
find
that
it
one.
out there. And I paid like more money than I've ever paid for a book
Wow.
to get a hold of this, allegedly, because when you sleuth it out a little bit, this was like some legit stuff that they did not want out.
Okay.
Yeah. So
We'll have to do a recap once you finish the book in 3 years.
I got you. We'll talk about it.
All right. Well, that's what we have for our extra long episode today. A little spicy at the end. Thanks for hanging out and hanging around. Please, please give us your feedback on this, because I just need to know how people know things for sure. I'm trying to get to that place myself.
I should have told you to touch ground. What do they say? Touch grass. Touch grass.
What does that mean?
I think it means you're like out of touch or something, and you need to like get back in touch.
Oh, thanks for keeping me touching grass.
Touch
Dylan.
grass.
You're great.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night. Bye. Thanks for joining us on the Modern Watchman podcast.
Remember, truth isn't just something we believe, it's something we live out every day.
Stay alert, stay discerning, and don't lose sight of the hope we have in Christ.
Until next time,
Be watchmen.